So my name is Darshana Zaveri. I'm originally from India, but I've lived in Boston now for almost 26 years, so consider Boston my home. And for I'm a scientist by training. So when I was very young, in my 20s, I was a scientist. But for about 14 years now, I have been working as a venture capitalist. So I'm a managing partner at Catalyst Health Ventures, which is a venture capital fund that invests in healthcare startups. And we invest in these companies, take a board position, grow them and nurture them, and then continue to invest as they make progress, and then ultimately they're sold. Um, and so this is what I do for a living.
So exciting. And I wanted to ask you, what are some of the most challenging aspects of the career that you have?
Ooh. You know, I mean, this is a at the heart of it, it's a risky profession, meaning that you are investing really in ideas which are very nascent. There's often no proof of those ideas. There's maybe some design or development or maybe a proof of concept that has been done, but these technologies that we invest in typically take a few years to even come to market. And they have to go through long clinical trials and a regulatory process and then eventually get to market and then start generating revenue. So, we're taking big risks. Uh, and along with taking big risks and putting a financial stake in the firms comes a lot of stress. So that's, I would say, is the biggest and the most kind of stressful part or challenge of my job, but it's also very fun. As you can imagine, we meet a lot of founders of companies and very smart people who have really great ideas in solving very important clinical problems. And we get to meet a lot of them. We see almost 800 companies in a year,
Wow.
and we end up investing in one or two. So it's a lot of work just reading through them, but also just enjoy meeting these people and hearing their ideas.
Wow. What have been some of the companies that you've invested in early on and have worked out to be great successes?
Oh, yeah, we have some great examples. One in particular, because it was a company, I think, Alyssa, you and I have talked about this one before, but it's a company that was founded by a very young woman whose name is Surbi Sarna. And she was 22 when I first met her. So she was really young, had never started a company before, was a first time CEO, and also was a woman of color. I mean, like everything that could possibly be against her in terms of raising money was there. And so she had a big challenge raising money, but in the end, Catalyst and I, Catalyst invested, that's my firm. And then I joined her board. And we were very much in collaboration as she really grew the company. Um, and her product was or is a tool to diagnose ovarian cancer early in women who are at risk. So, women who have the BRCA gene or whose moms and sisters have had the disease. And so they're at very high risk, but there's nothing they can do today because it's very non-symptomatic and it's called a silent killer. But this tool allows the patients to go to the OBGYN's office where they go every year anyway and just be tested every year like a pap smear. So it was a very cool device, a very big unmet need, a big market opportunity. This is important to us because at the end of the day, we have to make money for our investors. And then we grew the company, took it through clinical trial, got some fantastic results, and the company was acquired within 5 years. And then our investors made um, 8 or 9 times their money.
Wow. Yeah. I'm interested to know, how do you personally reconcile that fear of failure that we all as humans have, right?
Yeah. Um, I think now, after 14 years of doing it, we have a very thoughtful approach to risk taking, and actually even more of a thoughtful approach to when we take that risk. Um, and so right now, as I sit here today, I can give you a very thoughtful answer and it'll make sense to you. But back then, when when I made the decision and actually funded this company, which had nothing but an idea on paper, honestly, I don't know what got me comfortable with it. It had something to do with the founder. I trusted her, I believed her. And the reason I believed her is because I knew her for 2 years before we put a single dollar into the company. And every time I asked her a question, she got me the answer. Uh, and so she was, she is still a very believable, strong CEO who can get, who you start building trust with. So that's one element of it. Then now that I've been through all these years and can kind of look back and say, why did we do what we did and what got us comfortable? I think that the technologies that we invest in are kind of hardware based, they're tool like. So they're not just like molecules or drugs which can fail even after a long clinical trial, and they're very science based. These are more engineering based. And so if you can test this tool in an animal model or a benchtop model, it really should work in humans in the same way because it's all like physical. So I don't know if that's a great answer, but I think we have come to appreciate that our original instinct of what got us comfortable actually has a lot of logic behind it and
Mhm.
part of our thesis.
The music. So, can you tell us a little bit, Darshana, about why it's important for you to make that time when you have so many other things going on?
Oh, that's a great question, Alyssa. And before I say that, I just want to say you have the same instinct that I have. Because I've seen you grow as a businesswoman. And I think just to kind of jump into starting this music school and grow it to the number of students you've grown it to is it's not at all an easy task. And it's actually even harder in your profession than I would say than it is in my profession because everybody needs healthcare. It's like a need without it. But I think that, and I actually believe everybody needs music too, but that's not a universally accepted.
Right, right. We're trying to change that, right?
Going to try to change that. But okay, so to get to your question,
Aw.
I come from a family of musicians. My father is a singer and my brother is a singer. And I've been learning in some form and dabbling in music for my entire life. So it comes naturally to me to sing. But what doesn't come naturally to me and what I've learned through you and Musicians Playground is actually to really enjoy the process. And that isn't something that I think my lessons before this were all in classical, Indian classical music, and it's very structured. But it also felt a little bit like a lesson and very, kind of strict and rigorous in terms of how I had to approach it. And with Musicians Playground, I'm learning all of those same techniques, but I'm learning them in a very fun way. And I found that that not just makes me enthusiastic for the class with Kelsey, but it also makes me very enthusiastic for my Indian classical music class, kind of able to take that fun and incorporate it somewhere else. So I think that is the thing. It's no longer a task or something I have to do. It's something I enjoy doing.
Wow, this is really interesting in that you're able to transfer that concept of fun to things that are maybe not innately fun, right? So what would you say is the most fun aspect about learning and making music, whether it's, classical or popular or whatever you're doing? What's the most fun aspect of it?
Um, I think the exploration of uh, the sound, the exploration of the depth of the music. I didn't think about it that way before because I always thought about, oh, I have to learn this in this way.
Mm.
Now I think about it as well, this is the way somebody did it, and it sounds great, but maybe I can do it in a different way and
Ooh.
pretty good. And maybe it won't sound good the first time or the second time, but if I keep trying, it'll eventually sound good. So I think that's something that I've learned recently, and I really credit you guys for doing that. Along with the fact that I mean, between you and Madison earlier and Kelsey, you guys allow me to sing whatever I want. It's really helpful because then I can sing like English songs or Hindi songs or Gujarati songs. I sang a Bengali song. So
Yes, what real benefits do you think come from the act of learning music that we as professionals can directly transfer to our jobs, no matter what the context is? And I know earlier you mentioned, which is such a great one, that you learn to enjoy the process of learning, right? And the idea of getting better and better at something. Also, you just said, hey, it gives you a chance, it's fun, it gives you a chance to authentically embody whatever it is that you're looking to learn. Are there any other benefits that you think someone professionally could work on through the medium or context of music?
yeah, I mean, I think there are a lot of benefits. Learn to learn, and I think that's an obvious thing that you're going into. Hopefully, as you learn music, you're also going into areas that are unfamiliar territory to you, and you're kind of challenging yourself to do new things. And that's, like I said, I could translate that from musician's playground to my other music lesson, but I think it just as easily translates to other things, like whether it's your work or it's your cooking or it's whatever it is. You just learn to navigate and explore new territory. So focus and attention, and that's almost like meditating. And it you can again you can translate that to other things. It generally makes you more focused about your work. But like, I'm a little hesitant to perform in front of an audience. And particularly, I think Musicians Playground has helped me with that aspect of it, where I feel a lot standing up in front of an audience and singing. And that's a big one for me because I speak on panels all the time,
Yes.
speak on podiums, and so it does in general get you comfortable being in front of an audience, whether you're singing or speaking. You're just more comfortable and at ease. This translates as well, which is if you are performing with a group or with an instrument or a drum or a piano, you have to really listen to what they're doing. Otherwise, you're off on a tangent and they're off on a tangent. But even though you may have performed really well, the whole ensemble sounds terrible, right? It's the same thing at work. If you don't listen to the other people, you might say something great, but as a group, you're making no sense. And
Ooh.
I think that's again something that I think you have to learn, and this helps you to do that.
Yes, so much, Darshana. The last thing I always love asking in these kinds of interviews is, what would you tell someone? Because this is the most common thing we hear. What would you tell someone who says, "Oh, it all sounds great, but I don't have a musical bone in my body." That we always get that one.
I actually don't think that's true for the majority of people. I think you can always find that musical bone. And I mean, Gaurav, I mean, he's the first person to say this, I can't sing anything, I can't. Well, that's actually not true. He can. And if he tried, he could. And maybe he can't sing, maybe he can play an instrument. He has an ear for music and he's listening to it all the time. Actually, I'm encouraging him to play the guitar now or something, do something, musical. I don't know if he will, but
You guys could have your family band.
so I think everybody has a musical bone, and if you really really don't, like if you're amongst the 1% that really doesn't, then okay, you probably will find one if you look for it.